Okay, so this trunk is pretty much in the shade. You know, I have just a hint of light along one side here, picking up a bit of reflection maybe from the distant light. In general, our light is coming from above and the left. So this, although it has no direct sunlight on this trunk, it does have some ambient light shining more on the left than in the center. So we have sort of a trunk that's darker up the middle and more light on the left and just a hint of light on the right. Still trying to preserve a bit of that round shape. This one, oh, by the way, I'm using, what am I using right now? I'm using cobalt blue, ultramarine blue, and raw umber and white. And I decided to go with some blues because I have this blue mass down here, purple to blue, and then I have the sky, which you can't see right now, but it's also quite blue, and everything else leans towards oranges with hints of green here and there. So I thought I'd like to, in effect, not really connecting the two blues with a third one, but it's a little more spice in there. You know, if I were to go with brown trunks or very deep colored trunks, I don't think that they would be interesting enough in this painting, and I think that they would blend too much with the oranges and greens that are already here. So I want those trunks to stand out a little bit, and that's really why I decided to go with the gray. I don't want to get too light underneath this foliage. Keep it a bit darker. Yeah, this is still a labor of love, all right. Oh, that's because I love the results. Okay, we have our... I might just lower my value a little bit, go a little darker on the right hand side. If I want to pick up light on the right, I can always add a sliver later, but right now we're not going to worry about that. Right now we'll just stay with the whole basic shady side dark, light side light, eerie. Oops, see, of course, I didn't really mean to do that, but still, I did. Or rather, it was a little darker at the base. Why does it always work out that way? Why does it always work out that way? Okay. Pulled it off, going darker. Okay. Good enough. Okay, and that's under the foliage. We'll stay darker. This is the shady side of the tree. We'll stay darker. There, that's above the foliage, and I'm not covering these trunks completely. You can see the wash-in showing through in a lot of places. And if I can, I like to preserve that, you know. I like to keep that. It's like the warp and weft of the canvas provides its own texture to the surface of the tree. Helps the tree to look a little barkier. Okay, I think the bottom of this tree to stay dark in general. And certainly coming under here, I'm going to allow it to catch a little more light. Partly because under the foliage, if I were to stay super dark, you would not even see the trunk. And I want you to see the trunk. Okay, I don't want it to yell at you. I don't want it to stand out too strongly. But I would like the viewer to be able to see it. Okay, I've done away with the cobalt blue. I'm just working with ultramarine blue right now. And some raw umber. A little generous with the paint there. And that's a little bit light. Go a little darker here. All right. Now, that's pretty umbery, which is fine. Okay, that's mostly covered. I'm going to have a little bit more light showing in some places. And because it's lighter, I would also like it to be a little bit warmer. Okay, that's not quite light enough. This will probably be too light, but that's okay. I will tone it down as needs be. Okay, I've got too much paint on this one little branch here. Paint's too thick, I won't be able to add to it. too light. Okay, now for some straight raw umber and some white. Oops, I need to mix that a little more thoroughly. Okay, just on the tip of this. I think that's enough. Get rid of this little ridge here. All right. Okay. All umber and white again. And I might even add a hint of yellow ochre here. And I'm still mixing into just a few dregs of blue that I have left on here. Excuse me. So you're going to see a bit of that. But I would like to have I might screw this up. It happens all the time. Yeah, I'm screwing it up. I'd like this branch to catch a little bit as well. You know, with this sort of technique, you really have to watch how much paint you've got on your knife all the time. Not enough, you won't make a mark. Too much, and you make it impossible to work in. Mix it up a little more of the same. It might just go a little too light, that's okay. It'll be intentional for the moment. No, it's not light enough. Alright, let me just back up and have a peek at that. Okay, that's not too bad. Okay, we'll call that good for the moment. Because this one is not catching light. It might still, you know, I like that. And there's going to be more of it here, so I might still just have a flash of it on there. But I won't have a whole lot. Okay, let me just stop myself right there. I do want some. Me. Just down at the bottom. Mostly. Keep it as a hint, not an overwhelming highlight. Stand up, back up. Yeah, that's going in the right direction. While we're talking about tree trunks, just like to mention a few things. There are a few varieties of trees that are very straight, but not very many. And if you're going to paint a lot of straight trees, that's going to be what? Yeah, it's going to be the theme of your painting, or a greater part of it. In general, I don't, you know, for example, a lodgepole pine or something like that. It's very straight trunks. So let's forget about those for the time being. We're talking about some deciduous trees. Now, the difference between a pole and a tree trunk is, number one, the tree trunk is almost never straight. Number two, the tree trunk isn't perfectly round. It always has areas that are collapsed, other areas that are wider, flatter this way, flatter that way, right? So that allows you to, as you apply the light to it, and it is, you know, initially the drawing of what's on that trunk will establish what it is, but then how you apply the light to it is what will also define the actual texture of that tree trunk. And you can see that in how the light is catching this tree trunk here. Now, focusing more down here, because this is more important than here, we have light coming from the left-hand side, coming down and in. And this branch is actually almost heading towards the light. So I did not keep this dark line dividing this branch from the trunk. That helps us to understand that it's coming out in this direction a little bit, just catching a bit of light, not much. So that's one branch, or stump of a branch rather. The one below it is much older, thicker, obviously another piece that's broken off and for the most part is just dead. But it's around, a little bit around the edge, and that's why I've carried the light right through and also kept it a little bit darker. So there are two differences there. The third one is this. We have light coming down this side of the tree, and it's going to catch maybe even a little more light on this branch, which shows it's coming off the right-hand side of the tree, but it's also not on the far side of the trunk, it's on this side. if you were not to pay attention to things like that, you would end up with a white line, a medium line, and a dark line. And you would end up, even though it might be drawn in a crooked manner, you'd still end up with a pole. And something that is too perfect, too symmetrical to be, sort of available easily in nature. Yes, it's possible, but it's not that plausible. So I had light on this tree, even coming down as far as here, and I removed it because I did not want that length of light on this one trunk. I think I'm happy with that. Oh, there's another thing, of course. I've intersected the trunk with some foliage, which I like to do a lot, unless it's a painting full of vertical trees. I like to break them up a little bit. Yeah, I think that's about it.